This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Is a paid program. The content is provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership are not responsible for the content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. And now, the host of the Team Martek Hour, Joe Martek.
Are we done playing the music here so I can actually talk and I'm on the radio for a change? Or are we just pretending we're on the radio for a change?
Wow, you're good. Doing a good job of pretending.
340-1590, 340-1590. Yes, I am Joe Martek, and yes, this is the Team Martek Hour, and yes, we don't have any team members here but me. Alan Love, our special guest member, is he clunking in? Yeah, he said he was 5 minutes late. But it takes him 20 minutes to get from the car to get in here. So. Huh?
Come on.
You're the clunking noise? That's Cliff. Cliff is in the background pretending he's working, not napping today. But this was good, But anyway, Alan Love is our special guest member.
Cliff does have to catch up in his sleep, and this is a good time to do it.
Excellent. Yes.
Alan Love is a retired prosecuting attorney from the great state of Wisconsin, and he's been a guest member for 5 years, I'm guessing, which has been a good long time. And he's been a great contributor to the group. The group started back in 2004, which is an interesting thing, Greg. I get this phone call from a kid named Mike McGann, and he says, I'm not going to tell you who I am, but I'm a friend of yours. Now, you know how many people named Mike you know in the whole world? You might know 40 people that say Mick something or other.
Uh-huh.
Well, he was our very first radio station down in Jupiter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think he's now moved up to Stewart, and I think he's program manager for 101.3 or one of the FM stations.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, it was kind of a treat to have him call, and it took me about 5 minutes to figure out who he was because he wasn't going to tell me. I had to figure it, guys being a pain in the rear end, but I like that in a person. So anyway, Dan Warren, independent insurance agent, Greg Fasula, attorney back in 2004, and Joe Martek, financial advisor, started doing radio shows. By the way,
and of course, you brought us 2 hurricanes that year.
Of course. But we use the hurricanes as our start date because we can all remember that. You know what we were talking about just before the show started about touching your face and stuff? I just watched Cliff now. He's now touched him safe in the last 30 seconds 5 times.
With rubber gloves?
With no rubber gloves on, right. Quit picking your nose, Cliff. No. Anyway, so we started doing... Thank goodness we're not on TV.
I'm almost afraid to turn around.
I know. If I were you, I wouldn't do it. We started doing the shows because each had a different area of expertise so we could handle questions, and people have been calling in now for years, and we've helped numerous, total numbers, who knows how many people. And then we added Ms. Victoria Lloyd, Remax of Stewart, during the Great Recession, and Mike Paulus, mortgage broker, who basically put to rest a whole lot of the rumors that were roaming around at that time that there was no mortgage money, which was never true. And in fact, we learned from Mike that there have always been VA mortgages with no money down. There have always been U.S. Department of Agriculture mortgages with no money down. But what happened is, after the Great Recession, they tightened up the rules for borrowing, which went back to the old rules, which were you had to prove you could make the payment. What a deal. You had to prove you can make the payment. You can buy a car.
That was stupid.
I know. Can you imagine that? But, you can buy a car and you don't have to prove you can make the payment.
That's true. 84 months.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, we'll just keep rolling that last car into that note, and you'll end up paying $10,000 a month if you buy a new car every year. No money down.
See, now, an 84-month loan for a guy as senile as me would be a huge mistake.
Well, but think about this. You can get a 30-year mortgage, and you can probably get a 40-year mortgage, us old guys. They cannot discriminate by age or sex. All we have to do is prove we can make the payment. And we don't have to prove we can make the payment next year. We just have to prove we can make it now.
Or next week.
Well, no, you got to listen. I was talking to Mike Paulus, and my girl Denise. She's a closer for a title insurance company, and every once in a while, not too often, but packages have been pulled at closing because lenders usually they verify that you still have a job 3 days before closing. Well, some of them are now verifying it the day of closing. And, a lot of people are losing their jobs. And they don't want to loan you money if you don't have a job. Can you imagine?
Oh, boy, yeah.
So it's a sign of the times what's going on. But, hey, this too will pass. I was saying last night we went out to dinner, and it was nice for a change, just an absolute treat. And you and I were...
So where'd you go?
We went out to Harbor Cove.
Harbortown
Marina.
Harbortown Marina.
Yeah. We used to come up by boat, 3, 4, 5 of us, and spend the weekend at the dock, and because they have a pool and the bar and a restaurant, had our favorite band, all that. And we just loved it for years. And then the group kind of fell apart, and the band fell apart, and we haven't gone up. And the last time I went up there, it cost more to have the boat at the dock than it did to rent a motel room, plus the gas and all the rest of it.
We almost, when we moved here in '93, we almost brought the boat from the Marina del Rey there. And, of course, Harbortown is one of the few places where you can live aboard.
Yeah. And it's cost efficient. Like Denise said, why aren't you here? And I says, well, I'm having a hard time leaving Martin County. I've been there forever and ever, so I'm really into it. But the odds are decent. In another year or so, I might move the office up to St. Lucie West, right at 95 and St. Lucie West Boulevard.
Yes, sir.
That office building complex right there. I want it easy enough for clients to find.
They're gigantic signs for rent.
Yeah, gigantic.
Gigantic signs. You can't miss it.
Well, it's a sign of the times again. So anyway, then I might end up moving the boat up.
So that's going to be the Martek Memorial Building? Huh?
Well, you think I'm gonna die soon so they can name it after me?
Well, no, but I mean it looks good.
Looks good.
It's always worked for Martin Memorial, so why not Martek Memorial?
I like that. I like that. 340-1590, 340-1590, and the clunker just arrived. Alan Love is now sitting down. He called and said he'd be 5 minutes late. I'm telling you, you're almost to the second 5 minutes late. That's not bad.
Actually, he's close.
That's Alan. He is a mathematician, by the way. Alan is. That's his one of his strengths. Now, he's not always right, but he knows the answer, but it may be wrong when it comes to math. What do you think, Alan? Am I right or wrong?
You're right. You won't believe why I was late.
You said traffic.
Well, there was a traffic tie-up, but it wasn't due to cars. It was due to 4 roosters crossing Orange Avenue and taking their sweet time about it.
How do you know they were...
The peacocks, right?
Oh, were they peacocks? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, big birds.
Yeah, okay, they were peacocks.
Yeah, that's not... Yeah.
We don't have peacocks
No, they
in
weren't...
Wisconsin,
They weren't...
so I
they
didn't-
weren't...
Okay,
what's
so
the
they weren't
red-headed
roosters.
heron? The big one? The sandhill cranes? They weren't sandhill cranes, huh?
If you move your office to St. Lucie West,
Yeah?
you're gonna see those guys because they stop traffic on St. Lucie West Boulevard all the time. And they don't care. They take their time.
It's a very, very, and I've stopped for them. You've stopped for them. You can't live in Florida. You weren't stopped by a sandhill crane because they just step out into traffic, and then that's just the way they are. And one of the saddest, Lord save me, this just brings almost a tear to my eyes, is when one gets hit.
Ooh,
I've
never seen that.
They mate for life. The cranes do. And when one gets hit and the spouse is there, they cry. You've never heard a bird cry so hard as one of these having lost their spouse. Now, I've lost a lot of spouses, and I never cried, but, that's...
And their lawyers were dancing.
That's it. But sandhill cranes, it's a really very sad thing to see. But,
Absolutely.
But it was again, I don't think I've ever heard one person complain about stopping for the sandhill cranes. Now, you think probably they were not cranes that were crossing across.
Well, they were peacocks. I had never seen a peacock until probably today, so I thought it was a rooster. But
never watched NBC?
You see the fan come around with the colors?
Well, they had this little something on top of their head. Is that a peacock?
No, it's red head, little piece.
Well,
that's a sandhill crane. They stand about this tall.
No, it wasn't. I know a sandhill crane.
Well, they don't have those things in Wisconsin. All you have is geese and ducks.
But sandhill cranes are all over our front yard many times.
Huh? Peacocks?
Female peacock, yeah.
But the news of the day comes from one of my friends from Wisconsin.
Which is?
He says, for the first time in my life, I am actually moving faster than the economy.
Is he another cerebral palsy victim?
No, he's not.
But he still moves slow.
He's a COPD victim, though.
Oh, COPD.
And a wonderful Vietnam service person.
You reminded me when I had years ago. I used to go to Costa Rica a couple times a year, and I had a boating buddy that wanted to go, and I said, "Yeah, you can go with me." He did not tell me that he could only walk 100 feet and then had to rest because of COPD. So he did come in handy, though, because in order for us to get any place, we had to get a wheelchair. And when the airlines, they really treat you well when you're in a wheelchair. Customs treats you well when you're in a wheelchair. And the most exciting thing about the trip that happened was, here I'm going to go fishing. That's why we're going. I can't take him. He can't do anything. So we're in downtown San Jose, and we walk by this building that is magnificent, and it's an opera house. A copy of La Scala was built in the late 1800s in San Jose. One of the most beautiful structures,
Really?
all wood,
Wow.
just breathtakingly beautiful.
That's
structure.
cool. That's cool.
So we go into it. Now, we're in shorts and T-shirt. They don't charge anything for the Wona tour. And it is just blow you away. Gorgeous. So then we said to them, hey, do they ever have a concert here? Yeah, we have them. In fact, we're having one tonight. Really? Can we get a couple of tickets? Yes, you can. $25 a piece. I'm telling you. Can you imagine going to Met
in
for
Costa Rica?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
They saw you coming.
well, no, 25 is cheap. So anyway, we then, but they said you can't come in with shorts. You got to have long pants. So we had to go buy a pair of pants. Then we show up, 60-piece orchestra, 60. And the rule in Costa Rica was every musician has to be a Native American. Now, that goes from South America to North America, any one of the Americas, but all musicians had to be Native Americans. The conductor was from Europe. So we go in, and the first half is Mozart. Have you ever listened to Mozart? Mm-hmm. That's the best way to sleep I've ever seen in my whole life. He will put you to bed right now. So halftime comes, and we say, listen, I can't take much more of this. I'm falling asleep. If it's Mozart again in the second half, we got to go. Well, the second half was an opera called Bluebeard's Castle. Now, can you imagine? Okay. Now, wait a minute. It's even worse. It's a German opera. Does that sound like an oxymoron?
Yeah.
German opera. Can you imagine singing? Anyway. But it was sung in Italian, and what they do is they give you the program in 3 languages.
A German opera sung in Italian.
Can you make
something weird about that? Okay.
Well, anyway, they had a baritone and a soprano. Was only 2 people, 60-piece orchestra behind them, and they start off with the 2 of them singing. And it's like a husband and wife talking. And the rule is this: this is Bluebeard, and he's got this new babe that he's just married, and they are on their way back to his castle. And they go into the castle, and inside the castle are 7 big closed doors. And she's saying, hey, honey, what's behind the doors? And he's saying, oh, babe, don't worry about it. And they're singing, can you imagine anything? Back and forth, back and forth. And this is, I'm looking at my buddy saying, this is going to get sick because I'm going to fall asleep on this one too. Well, as happens in life, have you ever noticed that whatever a woman wants, she gets? She'll outweight you, but she'll get it. And you'll lose weight while you're waiting because she's not going to treat you well. So he finally opens the door, and when he opens the door, every single instrument was on full vibrato. Every one. My knees hurt to this day. I got up off the chair and never touched the chair for the next 30 seconds. What they did was it's blood and guts and gore. And, So it was just a Bluebeard's Castle. It's the most exciting thing I have ever witnessed in my life. And this happened 7 times because behind each door was another horrific thing. And each time the whole orchestra, and there was no amplification, this was perfect acoustics, and we were maybe 6 or 8 rows back in the orchestra. It was just scary good. And so much for that story.
Well, it's about time that you're going to get to the purpose of this show, which I thought was financial, real estate, legal.
Keep going.
What gave you that idea?
What else do we do?
Mortgages.
What else? How about insurance?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. A whole group, right?
Dan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, tell Dan you're sorry. He's probably listening.
Dan who?
Dan who, yeah. It's all right. He had a commercial on before the show started, so we don't have to talk about him. 340.
You're terrible.
Thank you. 340-1590, 340-1590. Speaking of coronavirus, the stuff that we were talking before you got here because you were late, but which is very inconsiderate of you and using sandhill cranes or peacocks as an excuse. Peacocks crossed the road in front of Alan and held him up for 5 minutes, right?
Look, Mel Brooks used a heck of an excuse when he dropped those 5 extra tablets in the History of the World Part 1. We only have 10 commandments.
Yeah, right. It might have been 40 commandments, right?
Look,
Mel
you're
Brooks.
2% Ashkenazi. A real Orthodox Jew has to do 617 tasks a day.
Well, I do. I breathe in and out. That's 1, 2.
For you, at your age, I can understand.
Well, thank you so much. I feel so much better now. So anyway, the news that I saw this morning.
How do we get to Orthodox Jews?
Well, he when I did my I did that swab thing, and I sent it in. They come back and tell you who you are.
Yeah.
I'm 2% Ashkenazi.
Okay.
Didn't I tell you that before?
Yeah, I do remember.
I thought it was American Indian, and then I found out I'm Jewish. That's the Ashkenazi tribe left Babylon in 4000 BC. They got thrown out and moved to Germany, and that's how the whole thing happened.
Question for you: do you think Warren Buffett?
Oy vey.
Oy vey, yes. Do you think? Can we get a little serious? 340-1590, please help me out.
Do you talk Ashkenazi on the Christian station?
Of course.
We do. They play a lot of Messianic Jewish music on.
Really?
Hava Nagila. Okay, what else? Go ahead. Now you're.
Do you think Warren Buffett was sending a message when he announced that he sold all of his airline stock?
I think Warren Buffett admitted he screwed up. That's one of the very first few times that he's done.
He's dating AOC now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So literally, I just think because his stockholders wanted an explanation why he did such a thing, he said, hey, because I screwed up. Now, he didn't say that, but he said that in about 80 paragraphs.
Well, he said he makes mistakes like everybody else.
But didn't he used to say that he never sold anything?
I see the word never. Remember that word never?
Yes,
how often that has gotten us in trouble.
Yeah.
So that word never and always are 2 words that just should not be in the dictionary.
Well, Greg, what he would do is he might not sell all of his position, but he would pare it down if he didn't like the sector.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
So the concept is, now the man has got a monster following, and he's done a magnificent job, but like he said, Nobody does everything right all the time. He's made his share of mistakes, but most of us don't dwell on our mistakes. We don't broadcast them, advertise them. That's, I look at the guys on CNBC and Jim Cramer. He's Mr. Guru that knows everything, but he doesn't talk about the times he screws up, which is regularly.
Which is 90%.
Yeah. But he has to, he's Mr. Guru, right? So the whole concept is it dragged the airlines down, the whole of them, almost immediately when he did that. However, this morning when I checked when the market first hit, the airlines are going back up again today. And the market's not up dramatically, but percentage-wise, they're up a bit higher than the overall market. So my guess is this. This too will pass. 6 months, a year from now, the airlines, whatever the time frame is, will be back to the normal system. We will find an antidote and a vaccine for this coronavirus. We know I was talking to Carol. This is number 19, Corona. How many Coronas have you drank in one day? Have you ever had 18 or 19 Coronas? Okay, don't answer that. Talking when you were in college. What are the other 18?
Actually, maybe down at Cabo San Lucas. Now that I think about it, now that I remember
Currently,
that day.
Delta's down 3%.
Okay, well, do American and do Southwest while you're doing it.
Yeah, the chairman of Southwest was on this morning. It didn't sound pretty at all.
No. But it's called anyone. United is they were all down. They were up pretty well for a few days. Then Buffett came on, and they're going to go.
Southwest is down 5%.
Yeah.
Okay, do United and American while you're at it.
Okay.
While you're going. The whole concept is this, and this is Joe Martek talking now. It's not anybody else. Airlines are not leaving us. We need air transportation. We need air freight. We need everything. Is it going to have a stumble? Yes. What?
American Airlines down 3%.
And United's the only one left.
And United Airlines stock price. I don't know their symbol. That's why.
It's UL.
They're down 5%.
Okay, how about Alaska? Well,
I love Alaska Airlines.
Isn't that the truth? They've done what a good job they're doing.
Goodness, yeah. And Air Canada.
Yeah,
boy.
What I'm trying to say is, airlines they're going through a terrible time, and they're going to. The government is coming in and stepping up, doing everything in their power to keep them flying.
Alaska Airlines down 4.5%.
Ooh.
So all of them are down anywhere from 2 to 5, right? Okay. Which is that a disaster? No.
No.
That's nothing. Yeah, that can happen even on an up day. Any kind of thing that happens. So the concept is: are airlines, Joe Martek talking here, going to be gone? Are we going to get back to horse and buggy? No. I mean, we're all going to get back to what we call normal. We don't know what that word normal means anymore. You remember under Obama we had what was called the new normal? Until Trump came along and said, forget that stuff. We're not going to have a new normal. We're going to have full employment. We're going to have a booming economy. Everything is going to work, and he made it happen. Then this corona thing comes along, and bam, shut the whole globe down. I mean, bam, just like that, 45 days. It's just never happened.
Sweden.
Yeah, never. Every other, quote, pandemic, swine flu, etc., has not done anything compared to what this one did.
Currently, the market is flat except for the tech stocks. The Nasdaq's up 1%.
Okay. 340-1590, 340-1590. Come on, Mike, Russ, give us a call. We need some action here. Alan is starting to nod off, and Greg already looks like you're nodding off. Yes. Let's just talk again. And this is one of Buffett's sayings, and he's not the only guy that said it. He said, listen, when everybody's depressed, that's the time to buy. When everybody's excited, that's the time to get out.
You sell.
However, what happens is your instincts are exactly the opposite. People are emotional, and they buy based on emotions, and it's very hard for the average person to want to get into the market when things are bad. Well, I have a number of clients that we bought stuff a month ago that have now doubled their money. They've gone up 100% literally in the last month.
During this?
Oh yeah, big time. Because when the bottom hit,
Wow.
when the bottom came in and hit like a ton of bricks, man, it just plummeted straight down. Well, it's been coming back slowly. If you look at the total market, the NASDAQ as of yesterday was only down 1% for the year. It recovered almost totally, and it probably looks like it may recover the whole thing as of today.
Right.
So, what is happening? Back we talked about this last week and the week before. The stock market has nothing to do with today. It has to do with perception of what's going to happen 6 months to a year from now.
I want to buy toilet paper stock.
You know what? If you'd have bought Johnson & Johnson or any one of the paper companies, you'd made a killing. They all of them. It was a big thing. So, hey, by the way, they had huh?
That Scott's truck that was hauling toilet paper was hijacked. It was someplace out west. It was in the Colorado.
Can you imagine black marketing toilet paper?
Oh man.
Oh. 340-1590. 340-1590. Back again, what I was just saying. There are ways to make money, and especially if you have to have kind of a cast iron stomach right now to get in. And I have had a number of people say, "Hey Joe, I know the rules. I want to put some money in." Nobody's come in with big chunks of money. Now the big guns are coming in with big chunks of money. Almost all of the soothsayers, the people that are on Bloomberg and CNBC, etc., are saying, hey, we're not going to retest the bottom. We may blip along for a while, but the opportunity time was monster. And now some of them are starting to say, well, I'm a little bit worried about because the NASDAQ has come on so strong. But you wait if we have an antidote or
off the charts.
All of a sudden that market's going to soar because we're going to back people back to work, and with all the government money pumping in, luckily all of us will be dead and gone by the time because this money is never going to be paid back.
Dumb question. All this money's gone out.
Mm-hmm.
What about inflation?
Well, the key thing is this: you almost never have inflation without full employment. Everybody's got to be making money. Now, here comes another thing. You're going to like this. This was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. There was no publicity about this statement whatsoever because it goes against everything in the world that Democrats usually believe in. But Bill Clinton was on the radio, on the TV like a year or three ago, maybe 5, whatever now, I don't remember. And the moderator was saying, what about this inequality in wages? Where, the rich people are making all the money and the poor people aren't making anything. And he said, this will take care of itself. And the moderator said, how is that possible? He said, well, what will happen is when unemployment is very high, you don't have to pay anybody anything to get good help. That's why guys that were making $150,000 a year go to work part-time at Home Depot. Okay? But all of a sudden, when all of unemployment gets down to 3-4%, headhunters start coming out, and they're stealing people. Yep. And now, in order to keep your good people, you have to pay more money. Now, all of a sudden, look at beginning wage. Forget minimum wage. There was no $7 and $8 an hour. Anybody getting paid any place just before this thing happened. It was $10 an hour or more, even higher than minimum wage, because you couldn't get people to come in to go to work. So inflation normally has reared its ugly head when we had full employment. However, this time it didn't. And even the Fed has said, we don't understand it exactly, but this may be the new normal, again, that when you have so much competition on a world market, that inflation may not occur.
Interesting.
The Fed right now is saying they want 2% inflation. That's their goal. How do they create 2% inflation? Beats me. They want prices to go up at a steady pace. Because, listen, what happened is, look, when the Great Recession, or before the Great Recession hit, people bought a house for $100,000 30 years ago, and it was worth $500,000. Well, that was based on inflation, but America is also a growing country. We import a lot of people, plus we have babies, so we are constantly generating more jobs, and more people, and more real estate, and more groceries, more everything. A lot of countries are not growing. They're declining in population.
I can see two things happening longer term. I think we're going to have another baby boom with the millennials.
What are they doing all day long?
They're home, which is going to long term help the economy.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I think people aren't going to travel long distances for a while. And so I would think things like hiking boots companies and camping gear companies, going to state parks near where you live.
You might be right.
That's intriguing.
Those are two industries that I think really have a shot of doing well over the next couple of years or 3.
You talk about bad timing. I mean, really horrible timing. Gander was about ready to open up Camping World,
right?
Right down on Jenkins.
Yeah, right here, right.
And they had the whole stock.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal.
RVs and stuff, and of course they're almost all gone now. So I have no idea
what they're doing
when they're going to open that puppy up. But needless to say, it's been pushed back months.
Well, this thing has pushed back a whole bunch of people. Look,
yeah,
sports are dead. I mean, look at that. Whole industries are gone. I mean, just gone. They're on hold. Now, what happens is the guys that own these teams, deep pockets, but they're
those pockets may not be so deep now.
And the other side of the coin, government money is flowing some places that people aren't too happy about. You're not going to be paying these guys that are not playing football $1 million a month to sit at home. It's going to be interesting. But
there's all sorts of stuff. Golf is definitely coming back.
Yeah.
No crowds.
Yeah.
June 11 is going to be their first date. And what's really intriguing, I was listening to ESPN last night, and they were talking about there's going to be the golfers arrive at the tournament and get tested. They go to their hotel get tested.
I think this is good.
And then they go to the locker rooms in the country clubs and get tested. I mean, it's like, whoa.
I think they need to do the testing at the 19th hole.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other wrinkle that, especially with sports, where do you do post-game interviews?
Yeah,
with various athletes?
Locker rooms.
Are they virtual now? Because nobody's going to be allowed in locker rooms.
Yeah, and even if they're not, when you look at these athletes being interviewed right during it's over with, these people are sweaty.
You never get any gems in those. But
no. Anyway, new subject, which we're on the same subject. I'm talking about investing. So I've never seen a person in the world that did not want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. What happens is, again, emotions get in the way of people making money, and they start making bad decisions when everything is good. When everything is wonderful, people are happy. However, there is one particular product that protects people no matter what. And I got to tell you something. Right now, right today, have you ever heard, Greg, that some people don't like annuities? Have you ever heard that?
Yes, I have.
We've all heard that. Now, I will tell you.
Carol and I are conservative enough where that's looking pretty good right now.
As a matter of fact, there's a TV commercial. This guy says, "I will never sell you an annuity."
Yeah. You don't see his commercial on too much now lately, but he was pretty strong there for a while.
For a while, yes.
What happens, folks, why do people dislike annuities? Real simple, because insurance companies are involved. Now, does anybody like an insurance company? I don't think, unless you got a claim and you're getting paid, you don't like an insurance company, because we put out money for our car insurance, our house insurance, our health insurance, you name it, one right after another. We're putting money out, and we never want to claim, but we are really upset if we go 60, 70 years and never have a claim, and we spent $100,000 or more dollars for insurance. Well, okay. So here comes an annuity. Insurance companies have annuities. What is an annuity? One, it's a contract with an insurance company. Why do I have it? When I put money into it, it's tax deferred, meaning if I don't take any money out, there is no taxes. When I take money out, and this can go years, weeks, months, makes no difference. When I start taking money out, the only tax is ordinary income. Number 3, when I die, it's not subject to probate. It's got named beneficiaries. And number 4, there's a big one, I get sued and it can't be taken away from me. So that's the reasons we have an annuity. Now, I'm going to talk about what's called a variable annuity. And my compliance people say, Joe, you have to know the claims paying ability of the insurance company. Okay, so I said that. Now, a variable annuity allows a person to be in the market, to be invested in what looks like mutual funds. They're run by the same companies. They call them something different when they're with an insurance wrapper on them, but basically the same companies that are operating them. And
it's not Joe's Insurance of Pahokee.
No.
Okay.
So what happens is we have Joe's insurance company over here, but we have a great big company over here that does mutual funds and investing, and these two things are separate, two separate items.
The Quiet Company, maybe?
The Quiet Company. There you go.
From Milwaukee.
From Milwaukee.
Oh, listen to him. Yeah.
So now what happens is you're invested in a market. So let's just take one particular kind of fund, which is called the Standard & Poor's 500, which is an index. But literally you can buy and get invested in the Standard & Poor's 500 index fund, and that copies 500 of America's biggest companies, and exactly what those companies do every day, these funds do pretty much the same thing. So what would happen is, well, for the last 90 years, 90, the S&P 500 has averaged 9.8% per year. Average. Now, guess what? Some years are up, some years are down. Well, last year the S&P 500 was up almost 30%. Am I right, Alan?
Right.
Wow. Really?
In 1 year. Yeah, but the year before it was down 5 or 6%. Okay, so when you start looking at these averages,
Average that out,
there's
that's
big
still not
years
bad.
up and down. Okay, so then you think there was an unhappy person last year invested in the S&P 500? No. But let's say they were invested through an insurance company in that fund, and they went up almost that same percentage, but the insurance company takes off a chunk, so maybe they were down 3%, 2% because of the insurance company. So instead of making 30, they made 28, let's say, or 27. Now,
Hey, I don't have a problem with that.
well, most people don't, but guess what? When it goes up every single year, they have now a problem, because now they're saying, hey, we've given up 8 or 10 or 12% over the years to this insurance company. But guess what happened today? The market plummeted in March and April. But the insurance company says, well, wait a minute, we're going to put a couple of guarantees on there if you qualify for them. And how do you qualify? You've got to be a certain age. We're going to have a death benefit that guarantees no less than what you put in minus what you take out. In case you die, your family will get back all your money. Now,
Wow.
that's number one.
That's
number
nice.
2, some insurance companies say, okay, fine, here's what we'll do on top of it. Every 3 months, if the market goes up, we will lock that new number in, high water mark, every 3 months. Some companies do it every day. High water mark, okay? Now, it depends on the company. They got to be careful now. Everyone's a little different. The investment options are different. But they lock it in. Almost all of them, no matter what, it's what you put in minus what you take out is the worst that can happen. But the other ones, some of them say, we're going to give you a 5% growth, or every 3-month anniversary, or the market value, whichever is the greatest when you die. So let's just say you put in $100,000, and you did that, like say last year, and you got up to 130. Let's just use that number. Then all of a sudden, March and April comes along, and it takes away 50% of it. You're down to 65 or 70, and you die. Oh, guess what? Your family gets 130. You know, that Maserati costs more than the Pinto.
Yeah.
So your kids want you to die when the market's up, but if you die with insurance, your family's protected. So why is this important? Husband and wife. Hey, guy dies. Oftentimes income goes down dramatically. The wife can be protected that way. Right. What if you both die? Then it goes to the kids.
Right, and also, if that happens where it goes to the kids are going to say, well, we really didn't mind that 2 or 3% fee that the insurance company was taking over the years.
Let me tell you, I've sat
Maybe
with...
that's why the kids are walking around with a banana peel.
I've sat with a client of mine not too long ago who lost his spouse, and his son was with him, and they were rolling over mom's account to dad, and I said, we can put it in this insurance product, And he says, why should I do that? And the son's sitting there, he says, for me, Dad. I mean, literally, for me, Dad, because you die, and you're an old guy. He didn't say this, but he might as well have. I'm now protected, just like you were protected when Mom died. And literally, he did almost say these things, but not quite as rough as I'm making it. And Dad said, yeah, you're right. Okay, fine. You know, the reality is this: us old guys, death's not a dirty word, because we've heard it and we see it all the time, and sometimes half the people dying are younger than us. So it's not a dirty word. Taking care of our spouse or our children becomes a pretty big responsibility. And are we doing the right thing, quote, to do this? So that's the death benefit. But then same client says, hey, now wait a minute, Joe, I'm 65, 70 years old. What if I don't die? I need income off of this because I'm retired. Okay, insurance company says, here's what we'll do. We'll guarantee you a 5% income on whatever you put in for the rest of your life, and then every 3 months, market goes up, we'll lock that new number in, and we'll guarantee you a 5% income on that anniversary value for the rest of your life. And each time it goes up, you go up. Wait a minute. What happens when it goes down? Oh, you stay at the high water mark. It doesn't go down. So same example. We put in 100,000. Market goes up to 150, let's say. So we got 5% on 100 is 5,000. 150, we got 7,500.
Wow.
Then the market collapses and goes down to 60 because of Corona or who knows what. You stay at that $7,500 a year income for the rest of your life, or until it gets higher again. If it ever does. Now, if you die in the meantime, remember your family's protected. You don't die, you keep having that income, and the economy gets good again. Now we have inflation. Well, guess what? It keeps stepping up when the economy's good, so you're going to get an increase in your income. I think it's the greatest thing since chocolate milk.
I've got a question regarding this. When it or if it goes higher again.
Right.
My question would be this. Are there any variable annuities that, let's say in early March, your crystal ball was saying, we are getting into a problem. Are there any variable annuities that would allow you to take the money that you have invested in the market and move it over to a cash fund? And then when the market comes down, like it did, you start moving it back into the growth fund?
The answer is yes. In the investment options inside of here, there are included bond funds, and there's also cash fund. Some pay a fixed interest rate. That's not much, but 1 or 2%. But one of the things that happens is it's hard for them to guarantee a 5% growth death benefit and a 5% income benefit if you guaranteed you're only making 1. So sometimes they have a wrinkle that says you have to be invested in order for the insurance company to have a chance to make some money. So, but you can move the money back and forth. And I have a client, I can't tell you, he listens regularly. He's up in North Carolina now, but in Murphy. But he listens, and he is got to be the worst market timer of anybody alive.
Oh, no.
And he's invested in a product that has done extremely well, but he gets nervous, and I tell him I'm going to franchise him. I said, every time you get out, I call all my clients, say it's time to get in. And every time you get in, I tell all my clients, say it's time for you to get out, because Ron has got it down to a science. Guess what? He won this last time. He won. He has been gloating. He calls me almost every day to gloat and say, hey, Joe, I was right this time. I said, yeah, but you started with 100,000 10 years ago. Now you're down $11.50 because you keep pulling it out.
But he's back up to 100 now.
But I'm trying to say is, the answer is yes, Alan. You can move your money around inside of here. Also, some of these companies allow you to take out, with no penalty, all the earnings, or at least 10% a year, no penalty. What's that mean? It means there are penalties. What happens is the norm is when you open up one of these accounts, you don't pay a broker, you don't pay fees, you pay nothing. All your money goes to work for you the first day. But there are brokers and fees and commissions, so the company is going to pay them. So they normally have a surrender penalty, charge penalty fee that lasts usually around 7 years. And then after 7 years, it's gone. Because the insurance company wants you to stick around so they can make some money, too.
But there is no penalty if you switch from the growth fund to a cash fund or a bond fund within the annuity.
As long as you stay within, like some of these companies have 100 different investment options. I mean, literally 100.
See, I just want something I could set it and forget it type thing.
Well, what I do, most of my clients, I say, look, if you're a sophisticated client, okay, I'll say, okay, here's all the different funds. You pick. We can go 10% in each. We can go 5%. We can go 50-50. You can go ahead and pick, and you can change. Usually most of them allow you to change once a month or 12 times a year. You can move your money around. On the other hand, my clients that are, quote, not sophisticated, which, Greg, this would be you. Can you believe this?
No, hey, I'll be the first one to admit it.
What I normally say is I say, look, let's do 50% the Standard & Poor's 500. It's 500 America's biggest companies, the blue chips, average 10% a year now for 90 years. And 50% in the NASDAQ 100, which is every big tech company, which has averaged 15.5% per year for the last 10 years. Now, and the NASDAQ today is probably break even for the year. It's come back totally from what it was at the end of the year because it's tech heavy. Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Netflix. Look at Netflix is knocking them dead. People are staying home renting movies from Netflix. So the whole concept is, and I've got some others that have gone heavier into tech, even more, saying almost all tech because, hey, let's say they're 45, 50 years old. What's the future? Well, let's face it. It's not bricks and mortar. It's more tech all the time.
Okay, but once you get in it,
yeah,
can I move from one sector to another, or is it locked?
Yes, you can move, and some companies say you can move as often as 12 times a year. You can every month you can move your money around. Some even more. So why would you do that? Well, because you want to. If you become more and more sophisticated, and you're really paying attention, you may say, hey, I want to put 25% into the Japanese or the Pacific Rim or Germany. All these different things are usually available where you can move money around, but you still have all the guarantees of the insurance company, no matter what. So even if you screw up, you've got the death benefit for your family, and you've got guaranteed income for you based on the high water mark.
You could still get into my Russian yak farm.
The Russian yak fund might be a problem. I don't know what I was hearing today, but Russia doesn't seem to be too happy right now. They were saying we've got a couple little revolutions going on in the street. So, hey, but you got to have those things every once in a while. 340-1590, 340-1590. Alan, nobody loves us today.
Well, I was just going to say, if anybody, it's a little late to take a call now, but if anybody wants to give us a call next week at 340-1590 and tell us if they've seen Joe Biden or not anywhere, we'd appreciate
Joe who?
that. Joe who, right.
Michelle's vice president?
Yeah, that's what I understand. Michelle's the vice president.
I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I'm leaning
Michelle for president.
Well, you know what might happen? That might be the way it works. Vote for Michelle as vice president, and she'll bring Joe along as president as long as he's alive.
Well, be honest, I'm leaning toward Amy Klobuchar as his running mate.
I don't care who runs. I just can't. Even though our boy running the country right now shouldn't talk as much as he does. The proof's in the pudding what he was able to accomplish, and the fact that he is jumping all over the Fed, jumping all over the FDA to get the drugs approved quicker than ever. I mean, things are moving at a faster pace than ever under any predecessor. So, hey, he should be the next guy involved. And then hopefully Mike Pence will get it after that, and we should have a few good years left.
Yeah, let's face it, Trump is doing a fantastic job for most people, and I realize there are people that are hurting that have to go and go to food banks and things like that. But hopefully our economy will start picking up again, and those people that were working will be able to get back and support their families. I pray for that.
Yep. All right, guys, I think we are about out of time, Chief.
Not yet. We can say
a minute and a half.
you
got a
can name
minute.
the team. How about doing that? Name the team quickly.
Go ahead. I want you to see if you remember them all.
All right, we got Dan Warren Insurance.
If you're doing A, because you forgot.
We got
Dan.
Mike Paulus, and he is a mortgage broker par excellence. We've got Victoria Lloyd in real estate. We've got Joe Martek in markets and finance, and we've got for estate planning and trust and estates, Greg Fasula.
Great.
If you want any information, just call up here, 340-1590.
Yeah, and you can call the station anytime.
Yes,
They'll
you
take your
can
name.
do that
Yeah.
and give it to you, and you can have the last word, Mr. Martek.
I can.
You
Why?
can if you
That's
want.
That's because you ran out of subjects.
No, I can keep talking. I'm an attorney, for
Oh,
crying
yeah,
out loud. I
that's
mean,
right.
come on.
I keep
Don't
forgetting.
underestimate me, and don't underestimate Greg. We can do a good job if we're pressed.
The
Well,
new Alan Love Show coming up next.
There we go. 340-1590, 340-1590. All right, troops, we're just about out of time. I'm saying goodbye now officially. And until next week, thanks for listening. Bye.
Aloha.
You've been listening to the Team Martek Hour. The Team Martek Hour is a paid program. The content was provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership were not responsible for its content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. Tune in again next Wednesday at 11:05 for the Team Martek Hour here on WPSL 1590.
WPSL Port St. Lucie.